cookie. So we got our Baskin & Robbins, as you can see right here. It's starting to melt, so I'm super excited to start eating it. So we're gonna eat our ice cream and pretty much tell you guys the cons about living in Canada. And if you guys enjoy this video, we'll make a second one stating the pros of living in Canada. Me personally, I've never resided anywhere else besides Canada. But he's had a lot more experience, obviously.
Yeah.
So we're just gonna be listing some stuff that kind of agitates us. It might not just agitate us, it might agitate more than one person. And go from there.
Sure. It's a mint chocolate?
Mint chocolate. You don't like it?
It tastes like toothpaste.
Actually, I heard a lot of Koreans, South Koreans, think that mint chocolate chip does taste like toothpaste.
Some really like mint chocolate, some is like, don't like it.
Mm-hmm. List your first con of living in Canada.
Cost of living.
Cost of living?
Obviously, yeah.
From where you are right now in Canada, though, right?
Big city like Vancouver or Toronto. Rent is at least you need $2,000 per month, right? Mm-hmm. It's in Korea it's like 200만 원. It's huge, That's like average salary for a person.
Yeah. So like in GTA right now, the rent's ridiculously high. Everybody else who lives in Toronto knows this. Like a studio or a one bedroom is like $2,000, and if you have a family and you can't afford a house, that's going to be even more expensive. Like a 3-bedroom could be like around $3,000 plus. Like it gets ridiculous. So one of the things that's bothering us right now in Canada is the rental pricing, and also like housing pricing in general. So like if you want to buy a house in GTA, it's almost nearly impossible unless you have $1 million saved up, or you're able to pay off a mortgage that's worth $1 million.
Yeah, you need to ship up to buy a house. It's like a new people who just started get money. It's impossible, right? How you can get like a $1 million, or even if you rent a place, how you can get 2,000? You almost spend all money you pay for rent.
Mm-hmm. It's very hard.
It's increased it's like skyrocketing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even it wasn't like this before.
Yeah, before it was not as bad. Of course, in like different provinces and different cities, it can be different. The prices will be more reasonable, but because it's GTA, and of course in Canada, everyone knows like Toronto is like the most biggest city when it comes to like jobs and population, and not just in general, like it has the most growth probably for your career. But housing is just too expensive. Another thing that's different for all our Korean viewers who are watching, eating out, like going to a restaurant or ordering food, is very expensive compared to home eating. I know in Korea it's extremely cheap if you go to a Korean restaurant. If you're going out to eat or you're ordering food even, it'll be a lot cheaper.
Yeah.
Whereas home cooking in South Korea is extremely expensive comparing to those.
Yeah.
It's just opposite here because pretty much everything is spaced out compared to like a place like South Korea. So everyone's using cars to transport, everything like that. So it's more inconvenient for the industry to have cheaper restaurants and delivery services.
Yeah. If you go to like restaurant here, you have to pay tax, which is this original like a food price. Let's say it's like $15, and you have to pay 13% of HST, which is like a federal and provincial tax, and 13% of tax in Ontario. Yeah, most provinces you have to pay 13% of like a sales tax. Like each product you buy, you have to pay tax, and also if you go eat at restaurant, you have to pay also like tips. It's not mandatory, but it's kind of mandatory.
It depends on the restaurant you're going to, and I don't mean this in any kind of biased way. But I find if I go to like an Asian foods restaurant, I don't feel as pressured to give a tip. Whereas if I go to like a Western style restaurant, they kind of like look down on you if you don't tip them. And so it's become a custom in Western society to usually tip around 15% of your total cost of your meal. That can get really pricey, especially like, for example, if you go out for dinner and your meal at a regular Western restaurant would have cost like around $30. If you're paying 15% in tip, it adds up a lot. And for someone like me, I work in retail, I don't get paid a lot. So I have no shame, and sometimes I just don't tip, especially if it wasn't like extremely good service. That's just me though. I'm just kind of like ruthless when it comes to that.
That's fine. She's just 23 years old. She's still young.
Anyways,
yeah. So the second one we talk about is transportation. Is expensive.
Public transportation.
Transportation. If you don't have a car, you have to buy a bus, subway, Uber, whatever. But Korea, we have like a transfer system. So if you pay, I'm not sure, but when I leave my country, it was just a one way. It was just $1, and you can transfer wherever you go.
I think that's pretty much the same from what I've heard. But in Canada, public transportation services, everywhere is different. Every country is different, and every province in our country is different. But in GTA, it's around like $4 a trip. And if you transfer from a different company, so let's say, for example, you're transferring from our system called Go Train to a Toronto city bus, which it would be like a different price, so they would add that price as well. But usually it's around 4,001, unless you're transferring a long distance, like if you're going to a different city, it'll cost you like maybe $20 even, which would be...
You're talking about Go Bus?
Yeah. That's the most popular transportation method in Ontario right now, is by Go Train or Go Bus.
How much per, is it $3.25? How much is it? Almost $4?
Go Train?
Like just like a TTC.
In Mississauga, it is $3.75, I think.
Is it?
Yeah. If you have a Presto card though, it's $3. I think I might be mistaken. They might have changed the prices, so it's more expensive.
One trip for $3, so it's pretty expensive.
Mm-hmm.
And beside that, I want to talk about like car insurance.
Oh yeah.
I have a car, so even car insurance is ridiculous here. Like it's like a mandatory first, and like average, I can say like a 300.
Yeah, if you are
per month. If you have like if you're new, you have no experience drive. If you're male.
No, I think if you're female, it's
if you're
higher.
female, higher.
Yeah. I don't know if that's the truth. And also it goes by address. So.
If you're close to live in
smaller city, it would be cheaper.
Oh yeah.
Even it goes by neighborhood. So if you live in a neighborhood that's more prone to accidents, it'll be more expensive. But if you live in like the best case scenario, like a really good neighborhood, a very small city, you have a new car, you've driven for a long time, you could get like a really good price of like $100 a month. And that really depends on the company as well. But otherwise, especially if you live in a big city and prone neighborhood to car accident, you're a new driver, it's just like red flag for the insurance companies. So they like hike up the price a lot. You could pay like between $300 to even $400 depending. It could be more or less depending on the situation, but it's insane. Like imagine how much you're paying for that car. That's not including your gas, of course, and everything else that comes with the car, so maintenance.
I pay less than $200, but because I'm an experienced driver, I have no like a record of like accident.
Mm-hmm.
But it also depends on province. But we are living in like Ontario, like close to Toronto, and I heard that Ontario is like the most highest insurance pay in Canada. So
yeah, it's something that's mandatory in Canada. I'm pretty sure it's also mandatory in the US as well. But in Korea, it's actually not mandatory, so it's a very good.
I'm not sure. Maybe
It changed.
I'm not sure. But
Okay,
I never had a car, but
last time he heard it's not mandatory.
my mom is. I don't know. Maybe she paid less than 1,000 per year. So yeah, it's pretty.
That's really good.
Yeah. So third thing we want to talk about is obviously weather. If you never experienced like Canada weather.
People say I'm not Canadian because of how much I can't handle the weather.
Yeah, even she was born here. She grew up here.
Yeah.
She's more like she feel colder than I feel cold.
Yeah, so I feel a lot, and even my body temperature, like if someone touches me, I'm a lot colder than he is, for example. He's very warm. He's able to handle colder temperatures more than me, which is really weird, but it just turns out to be that way. Depending on where you live again, it can be a lot more colder in places than vice versa.
Toronto is, people say Toronto is okay, it's not bad, but even they say like that, Toronto is still cold, and summer is short. Let's say summer start like what, May?
No.
Not May, but like
May's like
I'm saying
raining.
like you can feel like a warm.
Later May, like almost the last week of May,
yeah.
It'll be around 20 degrees.
Yeah, it's until like at the end of August. This is very short. Summer is like 3.
It'll get warmer during
4
like
months.
July and August. It could go up to like 35 even some days. But it's definitely doesn't last long, and it's definitely cold when it turns the weather. Thief.
Stealing.
Thief.
We finished mine.
Gremlin.
It's cookie dough. And winter is it's the first it's snow a lot. It snowed a lot here. You must need a winter tire to handle snow.
Depending on where you live as well. For example, we both lived in Calgary at some point, but I experienced Calgary winter. It's more beneficial for you to get an SUV or a truck even, because it's higher off the ground because snow piles up there way more. Whereas Ontario, depending on the winter as well, it could be good or bad here. This past year was actually not that bad. We got mostly just like some snow and then rain, but it was still really cold. But then places like Vancouver, it's like shocking if you see snow. Like it's mostly just rain because they're near the ocean as well. It's probably a little bit more warmer.
It's not even cold in Vancouver.
It can get to like 10 degrees.
But here, yeah, it's like winter's long.
It's very long, yeah.
Snow a lot. And
a lot of people go on vacation during the winter to like close Caribbean places just to escape. Ontario is definitely more humid compared to the other provinces because it has bodies of water around it, like lakes and everything. Most people think it would not be humid, but it's actually pretty humid.
Sometimes they go below like 20 or 30 degrees.
20. Calgary would be more around the below 30 degrees.
But in Ontario here, Toronto,
20.
20 for like maybe 2 weeks.
No,
more than 2 weeks.
Less
than 2 weeks.
Yeah,
okay.
it's not.
Let's say less than 10.
It'll be like usually on average around like minus 18.
But the thing is, it's so windy here. So you feel like a real feel. It's more like you feel colder than like actual Celsius degree.
It's very windy here.
Yeah. Okay. So fourth thing is it's just my personal opinion because I'm from Korea. I think like Canada has a lack of like entertainment things compared to Korea, obviously.
Like what?
Because we open like a 24/7. Like if we like in the middle of the night, if you feel hungry, you can go you can go convenience. It's a walking distance, and you can go.
Oh, okay.
There's also 24 open running like cafe or whatever, even like a pub, restaurant open late, like 3 a.m., 4 a.m. But here, First of all, if you don't have a car, it's hard to go, and second is they close very early.
Usually around like 9 p.m.
And like a statutory holiday, they don't open.
That's right. Most places are closed on statutory holidays, which would be like Canada Day, Christmas, New Year's Day, holidays like that. Usually they close at least one day, depending on it. And I'm not too sure as to where the system came from particularly, but definitely Korea is definitely open more hours and longer and more availability, but we still have entertainment here, so I can't really like talk down on
Mostly
Canada about that.
Park or like some like a sightseeing, like a tourist spot.
Okay, but we have like amusement parks, like roller coasters, and like we have water parks, we have like malls, we have lots of restaurants. You know what I mean? Like I can't really.
If you go to Korea, you will be shocked.
Probably, yeah.
And I will say something. I forget.
I cut you off.
Yeah, like, no, it's like if you're young, or if you like to play, if you like to drink, I recommend just stay in Korea. Don't think about like immigration, because if you're like a family guy, if you like to have fun with your family, and if you want to have a nightlife in the house, maybe it's good to live here, because usually like after finish work, there's nothing to do here. Chilling or workout if you like workout. Yeah, that's my opinion.
Okay. What's our cons for living in Canada? Those were just like the major ones that we definitely thought needed to be listed.
It's just our personal opinion, so maybe some people.
Everyone's opinion will be different.
Yeah.
But that's just our opinions and our experiences here in Canada. Do you have anything else to say?
Stay in Korea.
Depending on your situation, of course, and your life preference.
Yeah.
Korea might be better than Canada.
If you want to have a laid back life, living in Canada is pretty good. Today's video is just for cons of living in Canada, but there's a lot of
positives as well.
Things, yeah.
So if you guys like this video and we get some positive feedback, we'll definitely make a positives for living in Canada video for you guys.
And if you have any question, leave a comment.
Yeah, definitely leave a comment if you have any questions about how we live in Canada or any conditions and circumstances.
Okay.
Bye guys.
Bye guys.